Right. Hello, wonderful humans. Ruth and Nick here, and today we are doing a shoe review on the Peluva Strand. So it's a shoe that's um, come onto the market fairly recently. Ruth and I have been using it and trialing it, and so today we are going to put it through the filter of the 5Fs, and we're also going to share some of our own experience wearing the shoe, what we liked, and what we would like to see Peluva do in future in terms of potential designs. And yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to just take you really quick through the specs of the shoe. I'll use this pretty pink one here because it's more easily visible. So this is the Strand. It has a rubber outsole. And Nick, you correct me if I get the terminology wrong, okay? So what's the Strand itself, this particular model is 9 millimeters of stack height or cushion, which means the amount of room between your actual foot and the ground. And they have other models that are more, but I think this is the lowest one. The upper on the upper material is made of, the ones I have is made of a poly lycra blend, and it has a rubber sole, and there's no insole, so it's all really nicely mended in there. So it's an actual just a built-in sock liner. And what else? I think the white strand is made of performance linen, which I haven't tried yet, so that's interesting. And it weighs 7.2 ounces.
Pretty light.
Very light.
And I really like the quality of the materials they use both inside and outside the shoe. I was pretty impressed with, actually. And I really do like the built-in footbed. I always take out the insoles of shoes when I get them. So the idea of having a finished footbed that doesn't even have an insole, I find really nice. And even just the stitching on the inside is really nicely finished so that there's no irritation from exposed stitches. So really good job on the finished quality on these Peluva.
Agreed.
So let's quickly put this guy through the 5Fs. So the first one is foot shaped, and it's one of the most foot shaped shoes that I've worn in a while, actually. And one thing I like about the Strand from Peluva is that they are separate toes, which puts a little layer of material between each of your toes and actually gets you into a bit of a splay, but it's pretty subtle, right? You got to like really look at the shoes on someone's feet to actually notice that they're individual toes, and it makes a giant difference. So straight first ray, it's definitely foot shaped. It literally looks like a foot if you look at the bottom of the shoe. The second one is flat. Did it have, is it zero drop, Ruth? You said it's 9 mil, is it 9? Perfect. So it's 9 mil. It is flat from heel to toe. And the second element of flat is actually the footbed profile. So there's no artificial support built in there. So from heel to toe, it is flat. And then the inside of the shoe is also flat, which allows your foot to be the support instead of having external support applied, which actually weakens the foot. So it's foot shaped, it's flat, it's flexible. So you can bend, twist, fold, compress. Super flexible, which means it's going to allow all the joints of your foot to actually articulate as they're supposed to. The fourth F is feel. So it does have 9 millimeters of cushioning, which, you know, it's not zero cushioning, but also it's not a huge excessive amount. So I actually found, in wearing these, I didn't actually find that they took away from the ground feel a huge amount, although compared to something with no cushioning, obviously there's a bit of distortion there, but pretty good overall. And then the last one is fixed, and obviously it's not a flip-flop, so it is fixed. So on the 5Fs, it does a really good job. And I think it might have more cushioning than a shoe that I would traditionally wear, but overall, I found the fit was really, really nice. They put enough room in each of the toe holes to actually fit my toes, which are a little bit chunkier than some others, so I have issues there, but it was really nice. And just the one thing I noticed was just the feel of the material and the fact that I could get the shoe quite snug without having to crank the laces really tight was really nice. So I think on the 5Fs, does a really good job. And why don't we give a little bit of input from our personal experience in wearing the shoe. So Ruth, if you want to kick that off, go for it.
Yep. So I'm wearing 2 different sizes. So I have in black. So just really quick on the sizing, they do run a bit small. So if you decide to buy a pair of Peluvas, they'll run a little bit small. So I think they'll help you usually, you get a half size bigger. So I went a half size bigger. I normally wear a 10 US women's, and I got a 10.5 5. And then I also got an 11 so that I could try this out on the tennis and pickleball court. And I wanted a little more room. So I love them both. I use them both. You want me just to go through everything I love about them to start?
Yeah, just give some personal feedback on your experience. So maybe go through things you like, and then maybe 1 or 2 things that they could do differently if they end up listening to this.
Okay, so I'll go through all the things I love. Well, I personally love the individual toe spaces. I think that I agree with Nick. This is the most, I've never actually worn any other toe spacer shoes, and I didn't think I would like them, and I love these. And I love them because my big toe especially can do what it needs to do. I can feel my whole chain from my feet up working in a different way than when I don't have when I wear just regular shoes that I don't have the individual toe pockets. So I love that aspect. I typically don't wear, and when Nick says no cushioning in shoes, like usually it's 2 millimeters between your feet. I think the Tolos that you love are like 2 millimeters between your foot and the ground. So that means like absolutely no cushioning. So hardly any. So this has 9 millimeters, which I actually really like. I like that because I sometimes do want a bit more cushioning if I'm going for long days, or especially playing. I'm using this as a court shoe right now, which they don't actually recommend it for. They say that this shoe is designed for walking, urban trekking, and almost all gym workouts. But I love the shoe so much that I started using it for pickleball and tennis and other sports too. And so I really love the little bit of extra cushioning. For me, I think it's the sweet spot of cushioning for if you're playing. I play a lot outside on courts, hard courts, soft courts, and on concrete. And so I usually play in a 0, which has like 7 millimeters, and my feet can get sore after a while. So I really love the 9 millimeters of cushioning. I would like to try it. I would like to try it with less and see, because I do like more of a ground feel when I'm walking. I also really love the breathable upper. Even though my feet get a little bit warm in here for sure, I don't wear socks. Like I know they recommend wearing socks to alleviate some of the heat, but I don't find that. I find that to be more claustrophobic. But even still, I can. My feet can still breathe. Like even though they get warm, I feel like that they wick the moisture really well, and my feet breathe pretty happily. And you can also throw these in the washing machine. I think I'm not going to do that. I'm going to put them in a bucket of vinegar. So they didn't start smelling until like yesterday, and I've had them. I've been playing hard in them for like over maybe a month and a half now, and they're just now starting to get a little tiny bit of stench. So I'm gonna dip them in water and vinegar and then let them dry, and I think that should be fine. But they say they can go in the washing machine. Another thing I would just want to point out is that a lot of people ask me about it looks like there's a toe spring, but there's not. So it just happens to be that the upper material on the shoe is very flexible, and the sole is rubber, so material kind of pulls up on the toe. So I was skeptical about that in the very beginning. And then I think that the shoestrings are really, really long. This is something that people have complained about, but I just tuck them into the top like that once they're tied, and that's no problem. And if they really get on my nerves, I'm just going to cut them and then tie them and make them shorter. So I don't think that's a real issue. And I guess the only other thing I would like to see is less cushion. Like I would like to see what it feels like in this particular shoe with all these features, to have like 2.5 millimeters or cushion, see what that feels like. And other than that, I didn't think it was cute when I first saw it. Now I think it's the cutest. I think it's a really cute shoe. I love this shoe so much. And I think it's so cute because it feels so freaking good on my feet. So other than wearing sandals, this has been my daily go-to since I've had them. And yeah, so I think that's a good summary.
Awesome. Yeah, I reiterate your point about just the material. I found really, I don't wear socks either. And I find it ironic that they recommend wearing socks to alleviate the heat, where it's just like an extra layer of material. So that's kind of silly. No socks, felt super comfy right out of the gate. There wasn't really an adjustment period. The materials inside are super soft. I also like that, the separate toes, the fact that the big toe, the first ray is straight, or actually like the widest part of the shoe is the tip of the toes, which is actually really hard to say, even in a lot of natural footwear brands right now. So I found that really, really great. Lots of flexibility, especially in the big toe. So there's a pivot point there that is super flexible. It doesn't require very much resistance to actually get that bending. I also really like that they have a finished footbed. I think that's something that you don't normally see. Usually when you take the insole out, there's like this unfinished kind of raw footbed, which doesn't feel very good and seems like it's not really designed to be worn like that. I love that they didn't even come with a footbed or with an insole. It's just like a finished footbed that you can wear barefoot right out of the gate. Very, very light also, like super light, even compared to a lot of other natural shoes that claim to be really light. This one, especially light, which reduces swing weight, especially for court sports. I haven't actually tried them on the court to actually play, but I did take them to the court one day and just kind of ran around, did some lateral front and back, and they felt really good. So I usually wear a 10.5. I went to 11, which is still pretty snug on my foot, but because the material is so stretchy, it actually still felt pretty comfortable. And I also agree that it would be really nice to have a model that maybe a model of the Strand that is just super minimal and had, 2 millimeters, like you said, Ruth, of distance from the ground to your foot, as just like an ultra minimal option where people can wear when they're walking, just to get more ground feel. So other than that, I think they did a really good job with the design to actually make individual toed shoes look good, look better, and more, it's a more fashionable shoe, I think, than a Vibram, which is more of a utilitarian kind of different look to it. So overall, really good job. I think at the $140 price point, it's actually a pretty good price point for a shoe like this. The idea that they're really easily washable is really nice if you're going to be wearing them barefoot, because they will eventually stink. And, one sort of cheat code that I've been doing is I put baking soda on the inside of the shoe, pour vinegar, and then soak it in water and leave it there. And then if you wanted to, because the vinegar does have kind of an interesting smell afterwards, so if you wanted to throw in the washing machine after to get rid of some of that vinegary smell, it does a really good job. I think the baking soda vinegar combination kills a lot of the bacteria that can kind of fester or make a home in the shoe. So overall, I was really impressed. Actually, when I first got them in, I was like, I don't know about these, but in putting them on, they felt really good. It literally felt like I was, had full freedom to articulate my toes individually, which again, isn't something that I commonly see in footwear. And I think it's one of the most foot-shaped, anatomically correct foot-shaped shoes that I've worn in a long time. So A+ Peluva, and if you ever come out with a model that is even more minimal, I would love to demo them. And anyone that's out there who is open to this sort of aesthetic of a shoe, I would highly recommend checking these out, giving them a go, and let us know what you think in the Natural Footwear tent.
Yeah, can I just close with 2 other things I thought of? So durability, I want to check in a little bit later, because I am pretty hard on shoes. And so I'll check in a little, maybe a couple months about the durability aspect. But I also love them because they're super grippy in all the right places on wet surfaces. So I've noticed this, I love wearing these outside when it's wet, whereas there are other natural shoes that I have that I don't trust. They're a little slickery on the rubber when they have a rubber sole. And then the other thing I notice is that sometimes people talk about how hard it is to put your toes in initially, and you get the hang of it after a while. But I think it's really good to work the toe. I notice how much my toes actually have to exercise in order to get into the little toe pockets. And so I get a little bit of extra toe splaying and toga when I'm putting on my shoes. And I think, and it's so weird how disconnected sometimes I am from my toes, because they're always usually in, well, you called it a giga toe, and I thought of the other term called unitoe, because I was riffing off of you when you were talking about it in one of your podcasts. And I was thinking I can't tell sometimes my 3rd and my 4th and 5th toe, they feel like they're a little unitoe, and I can't separate them. So I get a little extra splaying toga in there. So that's what I wanted to say about that. And I Peluva my Peluvas.
You Peluva your Peluvas. Wow. Cool. Well, everyone listening, thanks for being here. We hope that shoe review was helpful. Peluva, thanks for making a great shoe. And we'll catch you in the next footwear review.
Yes.